When we last chinwagged, we were doing a lot of redesigning. Most of those changes taking place on our side structure of the vehicle and our entrance steps. Changes that are time consuming and pushing our costs up. This week we hit a major milestone as we passed the 2-year mark of our build. We go back in time to remind ourselves just how far we have come. I pop up to Johannesburg to visit the guys who have made our windows and to give Center Windows a template for the glass needed in our newly constructed main access door. All this and so much more in episode 97 of A Dream Called Meraaai. In 2020, on the 26th of September, we started our build. So much has happened in that time. It has been a long, hard slog, and it ain't over yet.
Stage 6. Now, stage 6 a few years ago to me meant that I could go to stage 6 and there would be some kick-ass rock band playing there, and there would be another kick-ass rock band playing on stage 5 and a little folk band playing on stage 4. This stage 6 is Kaka. We've been off air for 2 weeks. I've just got back to East Coast Scratch and Dent on the lower south coast of KwaZulu-Natal, and yeah, not much to report on the construction side of Meraaai, but a lot to report on the electrics. So, in our second birthday edition of A Dream Called Meraaai, let's start with something uplifting and go and stick our finger in some plug sockets to see if they work.
Anyone with a 2-year-old will know that that is exactly what they do when they reach the terrible 2s. Fortunately, our man off-grid Donald has just turned 3. Work on our electrics, both 12 and 220 volts, are almost done. Off-grid Donald has been a busy boy while we were away, and we have action.
So currently we have juice. You can see there already. I still need to connect wires here, of which we'll do as we go along.
Donald has put everything through a distribution board, and I found it interesting that not all commercially built motorhomes have DBs. Donald then gave me a quick power tour that included power to our water pump from our shower tap, power from our sink tap to water pump. He has also run cabling for a water level gauge from our fresh water tank and run power to our Smeg Hobbs igniting system. There had also been some movement on the doors and catches for our outside storage compartments.
Something else that was completed is a guy has completed the frame and locking system for this front compartment, which holds our ice bucket and our oven. But it's time-consuming work, and they're now moving on to the next one, and each one is different. So they might know the basics, but yeah, it is chewing up quite a bit of time to get this right.
Like any terrible 2-year-old, I have a real case of ants in my pants, as all of this is taking a long time to complete. Speaking of ants, some people with a lot of time on their hands have worked out that the global ant population is 20 quadrillion. That is 2.5 million ants for every person on the planet. If only that was $2.5 million. Right, moving right along. The plywood being used on the inside doors needs to be properly sealed. After the sealant, we will also place a 3mm rubber sheeting on the doors. This is because the doors will double up as tabletops when open. Markeplant Chris said to me with a pained look in his eyes that working on these frames and doors, he's taking 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards. Chris is doing his best, but I can see he's also taking a bit of strain when it comes to the finicky framework that is needed on this side of the vehicle. Next, Chris moves on to the Smeg Hobbs door and catch. This door is a real headache as it is above the wheel arch and needs some serious creativity to make it work. He has welded a new wheel arch into place and can now carry on making the door for our cooker. He starts by tacking a frame into place. Here you get an idea of just how complex these frames are.
something that is taking a lot of time, like most things, is the framework for the doors of all the compartments. It's not just a matter of slapping a door on. A frame has to be made, and all of them are different. So it's not one universal square. Every single one is different. This side of the vehicle is the most complicated. The other side is more straightforward, and hopefully it'll go quicker when we get there. But yeah, time, she's not a friend, hey? She's not a friend.
Brahm, like many small businesses, is running a generator so he can keep his shop doors open. With the hectic current fuel prices, this is a costly exercise and it chews into company profits.
For any of you who are watching this in any country other than South Africa, just to give you an idea, today the power went off at 1 o'clock and it will come on again at 5:30 in the afternoon, which is business is closed. Which, I mean, it's just it is unbelievable. There's no ways that one can expect businesses to exist in this sort of environment, and our dear president is running around the world trying to get people to invest in South Africa. I ask you, why on earth would you ever invest here?
Off-grid Donald is a wee bit more upbeat about things than I am. On the other side of Meraaai, Chris does not turn his chair for Donald's singing efforts. Even our local paper was singing from its front pages.
So we made the local rag, the South Coast Herald. Yeah, Mariki's going to be bleak with me because I know she hates the photograph that they've used here. But like a nice little insert. They refer to Brahm as a mechanic. So there we go, Mr. Mechanic. Fix the engine. Get Meraai's engine going, Mechanic Brahm.
Brahm is a bit more of a mechanic than I am. A lot more, let's say. But he is no engine Pete. Speaking of which, things are very quiet on the engine front. And then they got even quieter.
Some pretty hectic news that I've just learned about is that Engine Pete, while I was away, was involved in a pretty nasty motorcycle accident. It happened here close to East Coast Scratch and Dent. The guys were trying to start a bike they were working on, and they were towing this thing to try and start it just here in the grounds. I'm not sure of the details what happened, but it seems like he wasn't wearing a helmet. Some severe head injuries and very bad breaks on his legs. So yeah, very worrying news, and we just wish him well.
This latest news has serious implications for our build. Latest news is that Pete will need pins in his legs and he has quite a few stitches in his head. My down mood was compacted when I saw just how little had been done on our fiberglassing. We have spent a fortune on very little. In hindsight, it would have been a lot less brain damage to buy a dashboard and modify it.
I'm not sure what other fiberglass work was done while we were away, but what happened today, the day I came back, is all this was done. These holes were cut. But that isn't the final position of these things. This is just to put like things in place so our man Auto Mike can come along and start making the harnesses for all this instrumentation in the dashboard.
Okay, let's lift the mood and head north to the Big Smoke to meet the guys from Center Windows who will be doing our window installation and to give them a little bit more business.
I am in Joburg at Center Glass, and behind me, this is quite an impressive place. There is just a whole lot of windows, and we're gonna go and look for Meraai's gloves.
I paid my deposit for the windows months ago, thinking that by now we would have been ready to install our custom-made glass all around Meraaai. This was the first time I will be seeing what I have paid for.
Here we go. Alan and the guys. This is Alan.
Hi guys.
He's our man. He's been.
That's Isaac.
Hey Isaac. So these are my windows.
And Chris.
And Chris is a big oak, eh?
So I know we've still got a little way to go with our build, and to put these windows in. Alan, once your oaks are there, how long would it take to install them?
Fit the windows.
Fit the windows.
Okay.
one day. So, but they need 2 weeks run up to assemble it because there's a whole lot of components that still have to go on the glass, the catches, the little channels, the sliding mechanism, all that needs to be installed. So that's why they want a 2 week head up. Then they're going to come down, stay at my pawsy, we'll gooi 'n vleisie, have a whiskey or two, and put Meraaai's windows in. Yeah.
The big man's ears pricked up when he heard me mention whiskey. We will get along just fine.
When you unlatch the latches, that will be your hand will close the window. You'll have a lock.
And that's how it'll open, eh?
So the yarn over here.
Alan and his guys showed me how they make the template out of plywood before the glass gets cut and designed. Senna Windows makes windows for many of the taxis on our roads, as well as a few of the known brands of larger people carriers. Their product does not come cheaply, but the quality of their work and the safety standards of the windows are of the best in South Africa. The real reason I'm here is because of this, our newly completed front door.
She's a beast, eh? Now he's going to get through here. They should stop a couple of lion and a few buffalo in the game reserve. What I have done is, we needed a lock for it. So I'm going with a push pad lock, a Yale lock. I saw this is used on the door of the Merc Avalon motorhome, so hopefully it'll work for Meraaai. But yeah, I'm quite happy with our front door. Hey? It's very staunch, and the guys at Senna Windows now have the template for our glass.
I used the same template system that Tony Senna used when he initially measured up our windows.
Those are the new templates that we brought along, and Alan is going to make us a window for the top half of the door with a little slider in, a solid black panel that goes on the right, and a thin solid black panel that will go between the top of the door and the awning.
When the guys come to do the main installation, they will bring the glass for the door along as well. One of the burning issues we have yet to resolve is how to round off the window installation on the inside of the vehicle. Senna Windows had the solution.
This is what I want to put on the inside of the window. So I was just chatting to Alan now, when the guys come down to do the installation, they can then take the measurements, come back to Joburg and make these, and either I'll come and fetch it or we can courier it down, and then Bram can install it, but they'll all be the right size then. So yeah, I'm very chuffed about that. It's going to look very lekker.
I hit the road and headed back home towards Leisure Bay and Meraaai. En route, I had one nostalgic stop to make.
2 years ago, almost to the day, I stood here, and behind me my mate Peter Base's tow truck towed our bus we had just bought in Joburg from here, bottom of Van Riemen's Pass, all the way to Leisure Bay. 2 years ago. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Hey, I think we need to gooi 'n vleisie and celebrate, eh?
While the meat sizzles away, let's just remind you all what state our little bus was in.
There she is. There she is. Leaving Joburg. Leaving Joburg.
We had no brakes, no clutch, and we had to cable tie the gear lever in place on the drive down. We then began to break Meraaai down to her bare bones. She was a rust bucket of note. Bram and his team created the empty canvas, and the build began.
It was awesome from the start till now. A lot of things that we had to do extra that we didn't think of. Things that we couldn't see when the bus was here. But only when you start stripping and you see all the problems, then you see, okay, this is much worse than we thought. There was a lot of old school stuff that we had to sort out. There was a lot of learning curve that was there. So, but I'm happy where we are at the moment. We're on the downhill.
And the million dollar question, longest case scenario that vehicle drives out this door. Wanneer?
After spraying, I can't foresee it's end of November, middle November. I wanted to be finished now in September, but on this load shedding and all that kept us back. Not just that, a lot of extra things came in. Things that we saw afterwards now when we tried to do the paneling.
Would you ever take on something like this again?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
As frustrated as I am that we have now passed the day that we thought our build would be completed, I am acutely aware that we are busy creating a moving masterpiece. Meraaai has been built from the bottom up by hand.
That is all we have got time for this week. 2 years, eh? So just sitting here, chilling with the Oaks, the whole team, everybody working on it. Bram said a very interesting thing to me. His name is on this vehicle, and it's not going to leave here until it's right. You heard what he said about the finishing date. My heart dropped. But yeah, maybe Father Christmas. Anyway, that's it, eh? Oh my word, I don't know what to say. But yeah, 2 years down the line, we will get there. We will cross that finishing line come hell or high water. Please look after yourselves. Try keep your lights on with a generator, a candle, whatever you got, and keep safe.
Remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You will find us under A Dream Called Meraaai. Until next time, keep your dreams alive.